The Metroid series is one of Nintendo's babies. The original Metroid was released back on the NES and it was a success. It combined Mario's gameplay with The Legend of Zelda's exploration, and it turned out to be a unique experience. The sequel on Game Boy was good, but doesn't come close to Super Metroid. Metroid Fusion and Prime followed, and they all blew gamers away. Now, Nintendo decided to give the original a remake on the Game Boy Advance, and that game is Metroid Zero Mission. The story is pretty basic, as is the case with most of the Metroid games. You play as Samus Aran, an intergalactic bounty hunter whose mission is to stop the space pirates whenever they decide to cause some terror. This time they have inhabited the planet of Zebes after attacking the Galactic Federation and stealing a batch of Metroids, a strange alien creature that absorbs life from anything that it attaches to. It's nothing extraordinary, and it's not really detailed during the game aside from less than a handful of scenes during the elevator rides between zones. Even if it isn't part of the game as much as most other games, it's pretty great for a remake of an NES game. The gameplay is where Metroid obviously shines. This one is a remake of the NES title, albeit a heavily enhanced remake. It plays almost exactly the same. You move around on a 2D plane, exploring a huge map in multiple sectors, blasting enemies and collecting power-ups. The most important feature that was added to the game was a map, something the original sequel lacked. This helps with navigation and can help on backtracking. Other than that, the main game plays the same, just with alterations to layout and the addition of save points. I said the main game because this game adds an endgame scenario that is the Zero Mission. You play as Samus in her Zero suit, a skin-type blue sneak suit. It's very different from the main game, as Samus cannot kill things in this form and cannot survive many attacks. This portion of the game is stealth-based and can get quite difficult. You are asked to solve the situational puzzles that it throws at you, mainly enemy placements and trying to avoid getting spotted. If the enemies spot you, they will chase you until you lose them, even following you through doors and following you through your own sneak spots. It gets very intense, and while short and infuriating, it does nothing but add to the game. This was worth the time rebuilding. Classic Metroid, mainly using the tracks from the original, just redone. If you like the previous Metroid music and sound effects, then you will enjoy it here. The presentation is excellent. It looks as good as Super Metroid on the Super Nintendo, and it lets you experience the original game in a new way, the point of most remakes. There are some things that I personally have issues with, mainly the static position Ridley has for a sprite, and how Samus has her arm outstretched all the time. But other than those personal issues, the game looks great. Every environment looks unique despite being designed in a similar manner, and all the creatures look great. The Metroids and space pirates stand out, as do the bosses. It also brings the classic Metroid series atmosphere full force. It's a Game Boy Advance game at its finest. love the original Metroid, there's enough here for you to come back and experience. If you haven't played the original Metroid, however, all I can ask is why would you pass this up? Metroid Zero Mission gets a 9 out of 10 from me.